Hello and welcome to earlymusicsources.com. My name is Elam Rotem and good morning.
Yes, very funny, Ella. Thank you for your intro. And hello, dear friends, and welcome to our podcast dedicated to sight reading through the lens of the historically informed performance practice. And as you noticed, today I have a very special guest. Thank you for joining me. And could you please tell about yourself?
Thanks for having me. What do you want to know?
So what are your main activities? And could you tell about your YouTube channel, your famous YouTube channel?
Well, nowadays I'm mainly performing with my group, Profeti della Quinta. And the rest of the time I work for Early Music Sources and I prepare educational videos about early music.
How did you start this YouTube channel?
So it didn't start as a YouTube channel, it started as a website. And the name of the website was bassocontinuosources.com. Yeah. When I finished my studies here in Basso Continuo, I really felt, me and some more colleagues, we really felt that it would be great to have just one place with all the sources. Because it was very hard just to get the sources. And you had to ask people for favors, to borrow or to photocopy, and they didn't want to share it because sometimes they got it from someone and that someone told them not to share it. And you really had to go to a library in Italy to do it. So yeah, it was different times. But since everything became online, all we had to do was just to make a list of all the sources. And this is what we made in the beginning. And we took all the bibliographical lists from the MGG Basso Continuo article. This was it. And then we thought, but why can't we just include all the sources for everything? Yeah. And then I found a nice way to make this database where you can just click a category or search easily. And then I opened earlymusicsources.com. And when doing this, at the time I also worked a little bit with Oren Kirschenbaum and Johannes Keller. And we thought, why won't we make a little show where we kind of discuss hot topics in early music? And the first name we thought for the show was Holy Cow, actually. To destroy myths. Yeah, but then we thought that it's a little bit of a negative take. So we changed it just to Early Music Sources. And we started. I made it until today. There are more than 60 videos now. And in a way, maybe I can already feel the end. At least for me, there is so much I know, and I could do.
Your videos, they are really successful on YouTube. And how did you find this very nice sense of humor? Because the approach is so cool that you don't think, oh, it's an early music video, it's so boring. No, you just want to keep watching. So what is the secret? What is the secret ingredient?
I don't know. I just, put what I thought was funny and went with it. I reacted also to people. And not everyone likes this humor. For some people, sometimes I get some comments that they say, yeah, nice content, but a pity that the jokes take it down, It takes away. But I think most people do appreciate it and they find it is good entertainment. And then they can also learn something. So for the moment, I'm happy with the way it goes.
So this sense of humor, it's you being yourself and expressing yourself in this, right? Maybe that's why actually it's so successful, because maybe people feel that it's a genuine approach, and that's so cool. Very philosophical thought. Yeah, but of course we put all the links to your website and sources, earlymusicsources.com YouTube channel. And yeah, maybe there are still some people that don't know about it, so please go and watch. So Elam, could you tell about your little presentation that you did some days ago in this General Bass Tag, a mini conference about General Bass at the Schola? Yeah, could you highlight some of the points?
This was just a presentation of a project that actually was finished 1 year ago already, which kind of constitutes a summary of the recent research about early basso continuo that I did also together with Augusta Campagne. Yeah, we looked at all the things behind the early basso continuo, and because we both worked on it for some years now, and we thought just to put it all in one place. And the nice thing about it is that it's a free book online, which is an important part of, I think, the philosophy of early music sources also, just to have everything as accessible as possible. When someone tells me that he publishes a book in German about musicology, it makes me a bit upset. First of all, that it's in German. It simply blocks so many people who want to learn about it. And then second, that it is published in a normal way, let's say. Yeah, it just makes it very hard for the information to get across. And I think if there is just one person somewhere in the world who is interested in the work that you did, he should have access to it. And if you want to do it for the money, do something else. Music and research and academy is not for the money. You have to find money somewhere else.
Business on TikTok, for instance. Yes, and we bumped into each other in this symposium, and when I asked you about the sight reading issue, you said immediately that I don't believe into sight reading. So in this episode, we are not going to sight read, but maybe if you could share some of your improvisations or that we could include, that would be nice. Why do you hesitate in the sight reading approach?
So it's not completely right. I do love sight reading. I just think that it's something that one can do in private. And I have a similar problem with public improvisations. And I did a master's in improvisation. So I had a lot of experience with it. I just feel that nowadays there is so much music around. And when someone gives you their attention, I just want to give them something that is prepared, something that I worked on. I think there are very little parts in art that it has an extra merit that the thing was created on the spot, right? All the great works of art, you go home and you prepare it. And once it's ready, you share it. And in the case of music, as I said, I think that there is so much music that at the point when someone lends his ear to you, you want to present him something that you fully believe in and that you feel that that's the best you can give at that moment. So this is basically it.
Yes, but what about this historical approach when people would just sight read, like sitting down after the dinner and playing something with a flute consort, and sight read for their relatives or guests or family, like within the family circle, and all this salon idea that was basically maybe partly created from the sight reading sessions. What do you think about that? Because it's purely historical.
Absolutely. Here I would say two things. First of all, it's a little bit more private, as I said before. So I would happily improvise or sight read, to some friends who drink wine. It's one thing. But for people who, decide to listen to the podcast and they want to hear good music, maybe I would first want to prepare. So this is one thing. Second thing, all the situations that you describe are from their own living musical traditions. So I think if I want to find like a modern equivalent, it would be more like singing a song that everyone knows around the campfire, something that everyone knows and they feel at home with. And of course, we don't feel at home in salon music of the 18th century. We have to do some extra things and we have to think a bit more and to try out. So, yeah, this is my take on how it is a bit different.
While you were saying that, I was questioning also like the podcast audience, and if people would like to listen to something, it should be prepared. But while creating this podcast, I was also reflecting on that a lot, that maybe there is the time to change something within the fixed concert perspective. when everything is so well prepared, but less and less audiences attend concerts, like classical music concerts. What do you think about that? And do you feel that with your group when you give performances? How is the dynamic?
I don't know. I think it's hard to say. For my own experience, of course, in the last years, there was slightly less audience, but I think it's mainly because of Corona and things not really coming back to how they were. Yeah, what can I say? When we travel a long distance and there is not a lot of audience, the thing I tell myself is, well, whoever is there will enjoy. And as the artist, it's not my job to bring the audience. And I think it's important for us to remember. Someone organizes the concert, he should bring the audience. And we as artists, we are giving the stage and we will give the best we can. And whoever comes, at least in the case of our concert, I believe they enjoy and they're happy they came.
Yeah, that's a really interesting and fresh thought. I didn't think about it that, maybe we don't need to be responsible for bringing the audiences to our performance. But somehow nowadays it's connected. It's tightly connected that a musician is not only a musician, but also you need to promote yourself, organize, concept your programs. So, and related to that, maybe the question is, how did you invent your group? And what was the first thought? How did you shape it?
So the beginning of Profeti della Quinta was in the corridors of my high school. I started learning about earlier music and I thought that parallel fifths are very cool. And I just took some friends and we tried out things. And I had some CD of, I don't know, what was it, 15th century Polish music. And I didn't have, of course, the scores, but I transcribed some of it and we started singing it in the corridors. And all our friends thought we were weird, and we were. And actually the first concert that we had was in my little town. There was a big draining tunnel because, in Israel we don't have churches, or at least very few, and certainly not where I was. So we looked for a place with some nice acoustics. So we found this draining tunnel outside and we brought chairs. It was very nice.
Super cool. And how do you go on with programming stuff? Because you have quite a bit of concerts, you travel everywhere. And how do you bring ideas together to shape a concert program?
In the last years, I don't create new programs really. I think it's just a personal crisis with music that I have a little bit. So festivals, orders, programs that we already have. And it feels also nice because it feels like we worked for many years and now we are enjoying the fruits of the work. And and in the beginning also I had a little bit this identity crisis that I felt that if the ensemble doesn't work very well, it means that, that something is wrong with me. But no, there is me and there is the ensemble and we have how many concerts we have and we are doing them the best we can. And this is it. And for now, it keeps on living and kicking. Mm-hmm. So everything is okay.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool. Yesterday, I was talking with somebody about this idea of exactly we were talking about this concert stagnation, kind of in a way. You cannot really say that, but it's the situation of a bubble. I find that people come to a concert or to a theater performance and they expect something, and that's why maybe they expect something that was established for centuries. So maybe it's hard to do something non-conventional. People are also scared, and that's why this situation is kind of shaky, because if you do something super like classical and fixed, you get only a certain type of audience. And if you want more and like kind of a broad spectrum, then maybe you have to step out of this bubble, and then you lose audiences again.
I would say do what you think is very good and keep with it. I can tell you from my own experience, 11 years ago, or 12 years ago, I composed a big piece, an oratoria, in Hebrew, in the style of the early 17th century. And it was extremely hard to sell because it's just weird. It's too many things to explain. Why do you compose in an old style? In an old style, biblical Hebrew is weird. But I just thought it was a good thing, and I kept at it. And since then, we perform it at least every year twice. And we now came back from Israel from a third tour of this. We will go also to Utrecht this year with this. So something that was considered very weird and very hard to sell, we managed to keep doing it just because we thought is a good thing. This is what I think you should do. If there is something you believe in and you think it's good, just do it. Yeah, hopefully it will catch on.
You mentioned that you also feel a bit uncomfortable about the situation of a public improvisation or improvising in public. Is it a different feeling from sight reading in public, or how would you describe that?
It's quite similar in the same sense that you want to say something, go think about what you want to say, and when you're ready, come and show us. I do use improvisation in concerts in a limited way. Of course, when I play basso continuo, one could say it's improvised, but not really, of course. If it's, well rehearsed and well prepared, you already found the best, positions and the best ways to transitions between one thing to another. The fact that it's not written doesn't mean that it's really, extempore improvised. And I also use it as, little transitions, little toccatas, just between things. But I don't believe in giving an improvisation as the main dish. I think if you want to create your own music, it's fantastic. And go and create it and show us when it's ready. And I think it's a beautiful artistic process. You create something and then you review it and you see, is it good? Is it not good? Can it be better? How about this part? Is it right? Is it correct? Is it beautiful? Can it be more? Oh, this is more beautiful. Yeah, that's the process of composition. And when you're ready, show us. So this is what I think.
Okay, Elam, and maybe my last question is, could you tell about your upcoming projects, the most exciting things that you're going to do?
Sure. So next month we will finally record the Lamentations of Emilio de Cavalieri. It's a project that I work on for 10 years now. I published the edition and I wrote my PhD on Cavalieri. And the reason we didn't record it until now is because we didn't have a chromatic Renaissance organ. And we still don't have one. But we found a way to do it digitally, which is very satisfying. And we are very excited to do it. And later in the year, we are also planning to record more 4-voice madrigals by Cipriano d'Errore, which is also fantastic repertoire.
Wait a second, chromatic Renaissance organ. Can you tell more about this instrument?
About the actual Renaissance chromatic organ or the instrument that we are using?
Both.
Well, yeah. As you know, the 12 keys per octave keyboard is just what it was, of course, the most common, and this is what we are left with today. But in the 16th and 17th century, there were instruments with more keys per octave, and we need all of them keys in order to record the Cavalieri's music. And this digital way of doing it, using samples of an historic organ, but simply operating it with a MIDI keyboard and a computer, it allows us to do something that, as I said, we could not have done until now. There are very few chromatic organs, Italian chromatic organs that survived, and it's very hard to get to them, and organize a recording, in the center of Milano. So it really let us the opportunity to focus on what's important.
And how did this process go? Did you go there to this church with a Renaissance organ that you needed and you recorded samples and then you programmed it the way that the MIDI keyboard is triggering the sounds?
No, we took a normal Renaissance organ, that is with 12 keys per octave, and then we tweak it a little bit, how we want and how we need. Yeah, and I find the results very satisfying. Of course, I wouldn't record a solo organ CD with it, but because it's for accompaniment, I think it works very well.
And could you tell about the historical instruments that are still somewhere in Europe that still survive?
Well, yeah, as I said, very few survived, and it's very hard to access them and definitely to organize a recording. In different places in Europe. But, in Italy, it's difficult to organize a recording, even in a place which is specially made for recordings.
Super. Thank you very much for this conversation. I think for me it was totally fruitful. I find I learned many things, and not learned, but I think I discovered a totally different approach from you, which was refreshing to hear, actually. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye.